Hey, welcome to Salty Talk. This is such a great episode, listeners. I'm so glad that you have tuned in for this episode. We are talking about building teams. This is a bonus episode for you, so you're welcome. You're welcome in advance. So yes, we got to talking about teams, and we want to hear from you. Salty Talk is about you, but it's also for you and from you. So. With that being said, we have a very, very special guest with us today, along with my sidekick, my favorite is Jerome. Thank you so much for being here, Jerome.
That's not bad.
But yes, we are excited about our guest today, and he is kind of the resident on making teams and building teams and all things teams. So, Community Minister Network, thank you. And please welcome John Heflick to the show. Hey, John, how are you today?
I'm good, and you way overhyped there. That's no
How
way
did
I
I
can
do?
fulfill
How did
that.
I do?
I'm going
The
down
check's
from
in the
there.
mail,
I'm just
right?
being
The check's
honest.
in the mail.
Yeah.
No,
Uh,
seriously, we are so excited to have you. Why don't you give the listeners just a little bit brief about like what your church is, where you are, your role, that kind of thing first.
sure. My name is John Heflick, and I am the local engagement lead at Crossroads Christian Church. For anyone in the community, I call myself pastor, but we've got some different structures in our church. And it's my role. We're in Evansville, Indiana. I live about a mile from the river, so we're kind of right, almost in Kentucky.
We are
Give you some,
neighbors.
to give you some geography. Yeah, yeah. 2 hours up the river is where y'all are. Um,
Well done with
it-
the y'all. I'm impressed with the y'all. Good
well,
job.
I spent a little bit of time in the South, so I got some of that in there too.
Good job.
Um, but yeah, I've been here 5 years. Uh,
Hmm.
done this role kind of in some other places, and landed here in Evansville. We are a Christian church, so independent-ish.
Hmm.
Becky will understand that. Kind of in the network, but non-denominational. It's my role to help our folks engage in meaningful ways in our community. And so, yeah.
So 5 years. So in 5 years, you've been on a lot of teams, right? Or
We
been a
didn't
part
have
of
a
a
whole
lot of
lot.
teams.
So 5 years ago was coming out of COVID. So
Yes,
we
yes.
moved. I have a global engagement lead counterpart that I
Hmm.
work alongside very, very closely, and he's amazing. But we were both hired basically about the same time, and
Got
so
it, got it, got it.
I think it was divine and wisdom on the part of our executive director at that time to hire
Mm,
both of us because we both wanted to do the same thing. We've both been in other contexts, both launched teams in other places. But, when you do it somewhere and you're like, I wish I'd have done it that way,
mm.
you got a little bit of a reboot for this. And so
Yeah.
I still, there are things I wish I would have done different, but team
So talk a
structures.
little bit about that, a little bit about how, because you said you met, it was a little bit of a divine thing from, your executive director or pastor to kind of put you guys together. Talk about that dynamic for a minute and just kind of how you guys were put together. What did you notice right away, or did you notice? And then how did you kind of collaborate and cohesive together?
Yeah. Yeah. At the staff level, we didn't, we didn't come from the same places, did not go to the same seminaries,
Hmm.
did not come from the same part of the world. He grew up in Nigeria, is from India.
Hmm.
So he's a globe hopper. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, went to different schools and everything. But the moment we started to talk about like, okay, who we were, what we wanted to see and everything, it became very apparent that we were super aligned. And our
Sure.
language was somewhat different as to what we called these things. But so we had to kind of negotiate out what we're going to call the structures, but we
Mm,
really came from the same place. And that place was a pastor's should not be doing all the work. We should
Mm.
be equipping the saints for the work of ministry. And it is, we're both came with a surprising amount of, we want to see our people formed as they're engaging. We're pastors, and we want to see our people formed on the way. And that was a big deal for both Matthew and I. And I think it's made our partnership, a lot smoother
Yeah.
as we're moving
Yeah.
forward.
So, John, I'm so intrigued by some of the words that you just used. Formed, you said, you quoted the scripture in Ephesians chapter 4, equipping. I really like that word. I think that word is multi-layered. So, talk to us and our listeners about what that looks like as a leader, equipping and forming and developing this ING concept of team building and team making. What's been some of your experience and maybe some of the salty spots?
I think I came into pastoral leadership thinking if you educate, that will motivate.
Mm,
Mm.
And then I started to try to get all kinds of, well, we're gonna do a class. We're gonna want to do a sermon on this. We're gonna, and the truth is that I have not seen that lead to life change
mhm,
Mm.
as much as I've seen, hey, come with me. Well, I'm a little scared. That's all right. Come with me.
Mm.
Right.
mhm,
And that if we're the only ones doing that, then that hits our lid real quick. That's why we mobilize through volunteer mobilizers. We have teams that
Mhm.
do that. And so their peers are saying, hey, come with me. Because when you get present and proximate with real people in real situations that don't look like you, talk like you, think like you, vote like you, shop like, whatever that looks like,
Mhm.
right? When you
mhm,
get proximate to the other, God has a way of shaping and forming you in a way that doesn't often happen in our, let's be honest about this, mostly homogenous churches.
Mhm.
So it, to me, that's the formation part is
Mhm.
if we can get people seeing the world differently, then we can come alongside afterward and go, hey, how did that feel? What'd that look like? How's that shaping you? How are
Yeah.
you different now?
Yeah.
mhm,
Oh, I love that. And listener, I hope you didn't miss that Jesus nugget that he just laid down of just that come and see mentality of come and see, come with me. That is a huge part of ministry. And, Jesus did a really good job of telling stories.
mhm.
So I'd love to hear a story, if you can, in the five
Yeah.
seconds that you've had, to give us a story of the come and see that just came to fruition.
Well, I'll share with you my predecessors because I've got one predecessor is a church planter in Florida, and two are nonprofit leaders in our community still. So I stand on broad shoulders. Um,
Mm,
but my predecessor, Chris, who's now a executive director of an amazing inner city ministry, she tapped a lady on the shoulder, said, "Hey, come with me." Her name's Patty, and Patty would not mind me sharing her story at all. She's pretty open about this. Patty was just coming off a divorce and was struggling with life and trying to figure things out as a single mom. And Chris said, "Hey, Patty, come with me to this inner city ministry called Potter's Wheel, and let's just serve a meal." And
hmm
Patty did, and there's some interesting dynamics that are going on that had been going on in our city. There's a road that kind of separates what's kind of considered the inner city from the rest of the city, and Route 41 is what it is. And Patty, when Chris had asked her to go down there, she said, "Well, I don't know, isn't it dangerous down there?"
hmm
And Chris was like, "Well, no, I'll be there. It's not too bad." And she said, "Why do you think it's dangerous?" And Patty said, "Well, my parents, when I was growing up here, said never go on the other side of 41 because it's
hmm
dangerous." And she said, "Well, I don't think that's real. Maybe a little bit here and there, but like, come with me." So she did.
hmm
And Patty's kind of barely under the surface bias started to, kind of pop up and be seen. Now, about 6, 7 years later, Patty is my advocacy team leader for that area, which encompasses both an after-school program in this inner city ministry and a public school down there.
I
Patty
love
is
that.
amazing and now has mobilized, I can't even count the number of people to go down there just like she was asked by Chris.
That's a great first start, right? Of just that come and see. And you've got a pretty strategic model for building a team. Can you kind
Yeah.
of share that with the listeners?
Yeah, we call them advocacy teams because we want them to become so present and proximate with people that
Hmm.
they start to say, "Hey, wait a minute, that's not the way it should be. Can we do this?" And that works alongside partners. So our advocacy teams work alongside partners to serve a people. And we don't serve the partner per se, we align with the partner. We have local advocacy teams and global advocacy teams. And those global advocacy teams are the ones who are either with an individual, couple, family that we sent over there, or they're with some partnering organizations. They're the main liaisons with that. It's a different rhythm of life for global than it is local. We could do a lot more activities, but same philosophy. Sometimes I've seen churches, and not that previous churches have done this or anything, but I've seen it. I used to work at a university, so I saw a bunch of churches, and it was not uncommon for me to see churches kind of take credit for what nonprofits were doing. And
Hmm.
because we gave them a check and a few people went down there and served a meal. And that kind of drives me a little nuts. So I don't think that's hugely genuine for the
Yeah,
church to be doing.
agreed.
I think we have an
Yeah.
integrity issue there. So what we decided when we came was we're going, okay, what are we going to do? We're not going to do everything the nonprofit does. We're not going to try to embrace everything a school does. We're going to do one thing in one place with one people to serve one people. So we're going to
Hmm.
try to focus our fire. Now that started by listening. We don't go down and tell them what we're doing. We're not telling them how we're helping. At the school, we ended up learning that there was no PTA in the school because it's an underserved community.
Hmm.
And so we started filling in gaps. And now Patty is the chief mobilizer for every one of the teachers at that K through 8 school is adopted by one
Mm.
of our volunteers. And so we want to bring them in at the initial stages of those events that we all do. We do the back to school drives, we do an affordable Christmas, those types of things. But those are just big excuses to try to get them volunteers closer with teachers. And the goal
Mm.
that we established with the school was we were going to try to raise teacher retention. We all knew coming out, if you were engaged in a public school coming out of COVID, teacher retention was in the toilet. And so
Yeah.
that was the first trying to help the school stabilize. And we found that teachers who were making about $35,000 a year at that time were taking money out of their pockets to fund stuff in their
Hmm.
classrooms. And so that was the gap that we were trying to. So we had a lot of other gaps that we tried that we were asked to do. That was the one that we chose to do. And so Patty is now the chief mobilizer for that stuff.
Yeah,
Love that.
that's so beautiful, John. I'm getting so encouraged just listening to these stories and kind of your methodology on building teams. One question I have is, what's been your experience, or I guess what's your take on the importance of proximity? I've heard you mention that a few times. What would be a nugget or a couple of bullets that you could give us as it relates to proximity and its importance to team building and team longevity?
Yeah, there's no substitute. I mean, there's nothing without that proximity and consistency,
Mm,
um, and bringing your whole self to that, right?
mhm,
Mm.
Because we all carry a lot of experiences with us. Now, some of those things um, can be displayed to the people we're serving. I mean, you can have some honest conversations. Um, some of those things are process points afterwards. So the team leaders need to also understand a little bit of coaching and to say,
mhm,
okay, hey, I saw that over there. How'd that feel? So
Mm.
as we are tapping and bringing, we're also saying tapping and going, hey, come over here. I got a question for you. And to
mhm,
me, that's how discipleship happens on these kind of pathways, right?
Hmm.
But you don't get those questions stirred up until you get present, until you
right.
get going, wait a minute, this is a single mom who just got evicted for no reason because our power company just doubled their rates and she can no longer afford anything and her kid got sick,
Mm,
so she missed school. Like, I want to have volunteers have the pound the table moment. Like, that's not fair, you know?
hmm.
Like, because that's when
Yeah.
you start to see the world through other people's eyes. Now, you can't
Hmm.
stay there, right? That generic anger at the world doesn't do anything. But
For sure.
with until we get there, we don't have that emotional engagement that is going to take to form us and for God to show us different things through different people.
Love
Yeah,
that.
that's beautiful. There was a time in my life where I didn't really understand the gravity and significance of team and team building. And then, as I got older and started looking at the ministry of Jesus through the lens of team and how he built the team and the disciples that were a part of his team, like they, on paper, a lot of them didn't have anything in common. They wouldn't have been the first pick. They didn't make it through Hebrew school, so they had to do the family business to being a zealot, and then parts that you have to like infer in scripture where there were women that were a significant part of his team that don't get a lot of mention in scripture, that has, played in different negative ways in the church today, I think, but that's a whole different rabbit trail. Jesus was so against the norms, right? And I just
Hmm.
love that. And so one of the things that I really see in the model of Jesus's ministry from a team standpoint is this acronym that I'll probably get a tattoo of, and that is that
Oh,
I
look at
did
you.
make up: together everybody achieves more, right? Or accomplishes more, or whatever you want that A to be. Together everybody achieves more. And so that is so true. And I think that we need more people like you, John, like yourself, Becky, that are, like you said, John, pounding the table of, hey,
Mm,
we are better together. So whatever we're going through, whatever difficulties that we're facing, let's figure out how to do it together, regardless of what side of the aisle you fall on, or what side of the tracks, or side of the grocery store you shop on, wherever, whatever. How
Yeah.
can we come together
mm,
and really move the needle? So this is really, really exciting.
Have you guys seen? I'll throw one back at you.
Mm.
Um, I have been. We're gonna. I'm gonna salt a little bit here, um,
come on now.
It's
but
salty, John. I love it.
it is. Uh, do you use the term "serve" in your church?
Hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
I think just like a lot of church words, "serve" has strangely become this us and them thing.
Mm,
So it's
Mm,
like when we say, "Well, we're going to go serve that community." Um,
mm,
somehow in the church use of the word serve, it has become we're going to go do things that maybe they don't want to do, and we're going to do it because we love Jesus.
hmm.
And
Yeah.
there's this subtle hierarchy.
Hmm.
mm,
Now I haven't figured out a better word because volunteer is pretty generic, but
mm,
it's we try to push against that whenever we can, and we
Hmm.
still use the word. But
mm,
how do you guys push against that tendency of wealth to mean more, of status to mean more, of where I live to mean more, and then, oh, well, we're going to go serve the poor.
Hmm.
mm.
You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
how do you stand against that in your context?
One of the things I'm really intentional about is words, right? So I'm intentional about using us, we, not I. Not, you know what I mean? So as much as I can use language that unifies all of us, um, we're gonna serve our brothers and sisters. There, you know what I mean? Or just emphasizing the point that, hey, at the end of the day, we're all in the same boat. Um, and I really love that perspective of getting really granular and saying, is there a better way to articulate this? Is there a way to really bring unity and unification where we don't create these subtle hierarchies? I think that that whole thought process is healthy, you know. And so maybe one thing you could do for yourself, John, for all the listeners, is as you're creating these serving opportunities, understand that whenever you're doing ambassador work on behalf of Jesus,
Hmm.
you're also receiving as well. There's an exchange. So maybe, hey, maybe we change it. Maybe we say, hey, we're gonna do an exchange day at this neighborhood, in
Yep.
this zip code, and here's what we're gonna do for our people, for our community.
Hmm.
Um, and so the unifying language, us and our, and then exchange. Like there's something that I'm giving,
Yes.
and by way of principle, there has to be something that I'm receiving, or else the Bible is invalid. And we know that's not the case.
Yep.
Hmm.
No, I absolutely love that. Yeah. Becky, what do you think? What are you doing at Southeast?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo what Jerome and you have also said. It's that it's a mentality, it's a heart posture. It's
Hmm.
the in and through. It is the what is God doing through you, but also what is he doing in you. And I mean, we've had to have some specific conversations with, people who have, let's go serve those people, that kind of thing. And you go down with all the supplies and all of the things, and you get to be the hands and the feet and the supplies and the food and the fun that Jesus supplies. And then you go back to your side of town, and you leave them there because they're over there and we're over here. A lot of times we have gathered them back together. If we're bringing a bus of high schoolers down, there's always the conversation afterwards of, what did you see? How do
Yeah.
you feel? Did that make you feel some kind of way? Get curious about why.
Hmm.
It's that, why are we doing this? Not just because we can. And we're not offering them, like, these people are our brothers and sisters in Christ. Like, we're not bringing them Jesus. We're
Yep.
bringing them hope. We're bringing them love. We're bringing them companionship. We're bringing them supplies, but also we're bringing them something different. And the Lord wants to do something in and through you as
Yeah.
well. So, specifically for in recent times, it's been like the next generation, like the 18 to 25 year olds, of like that Gen Z type people who are like, okay, these are the people who are going to inherit this church. So what are we saying to them? What are they feeling? What are they expressing? How are they processing? Are they even serving? So yeah, it's just to cultivate that heart posture for us in a way that's like, what is God doing in and through you that's going to make a difference? Not because of you. Like, the gifts
Mhm.
that Jesus has
Yep.
given you aren't for you; they're for other people.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how we always ask the question. We've not always been good at that, but we've always asked the question in recent years of like, okay, what did you do? How did
Yep.
it work? Did it work? And
Hmm.
sometimes the answer is no, that was an epic fail. Like, okay,
Hmm.
well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about why this was awful. And they get to voice and they get to speak into that. And like, okay, well, then what do we learn? And that is all about that team dynamic of, when you are bringing people together, how are you encouraging? There's more than just, hey, everybody, let's go this way and do this. And then, like, great, see ya. See you
Yep.
at church on Sunday. It's more rounded experience, if you will, of like, there's so many things to see. Is there anything that we're missing, John? Just for the listeners, like, if you could, as we kind of wrap this up, like, if you could give a nugget, or to the listener of like, yeah, I wish they would have talked about this, or something in terms of a team. Is there anything that we're leaving off the table?
Well, I think oftentimes in church world we're scared of metrics and we're scared of defining
Mm,
desired goals and outcomes, and especially when things are being led by volunteers. So if I've got somebody who's my team leader, who's my special needs team leader, is a teacher in a public school here, locally. My foster care team leader is a foster mom.
mhm,
And so, we're going, well, they got a lot on their plate already, right? Um, but if we can help, especially as staff, negotiate those things out so that they can engage in that way and they can learn to lead in that way. So they're connecting with the partner in a specific way that is already predetermined. So we have a goal.
mm,
In Glenwood, in the school, it was okay, every teacher is going to be have a person that supports them. And now we're asking the question, like, okay, what does that mean? So we were tracking activity. Now we're trying to figure out how to track impact. Okay,
Hmm.
what impact has our volunteers who have been mobilized to support those teachers? What are they having with those teachers? Do the teachers, have they been shown Jesus in a unique way? Have they been supported in a
Mm,
unique way? So we're trying to drill into that more so that we don't get comfortable just supporting activity. We've got a continuum that we use a lot. It's a relationship continuum that kind of puts words on moving from stranger to family.
mm,
And kind of the tone of what we want our teams to do is to try to show up and understand that you are a stranger in the community, but that through consistency, through present proximity, you can move up into connection, into deeper
hmm,
connection with them. And that means the reciprocating. Like that means that you
hmm.
can't come in as up. You got to be right here. That's something we're really trying to push. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you, in terms of like the patties of the world, like what is your, as a leader, relationship or encouragement toward the patties of the world? Like what does that relationship and dynamic look like?
for me, it's a lot of coffee. Not
Ah,
necessarily with Patty because
yes.
she doesn't slow down. But I can't get her to a coffee shop because she just run around. But there's always, uh, every leader's different and the rhythm of life is
Hmm.
different. She's a retiree who's got boundless energy, so I got to keep up with her. But yeah, just having conversations, sometimes pulling them aside at church. Sometimes we got a lot of time between our two services that is really good for that.
Hmm.
Our advocacy teams meet once a month, and so I'm often in those meetings. Um, and then we can have some coaching time. So it's done on the fly. We don't have a formal process,
Hmm.
but it's my role to coach them so that they can lead the teams and lead engagement. We talk all the time about, hey, any of us leave, we should keep going. There
Hmm.
should be no end to this.
Yeah.
Um, I'm working myself into irrelevance, basically. Yeah.
Hmm.
I love that. Wow, John, this has been so amazing. Listener, I hope that you have gleaned some really great information because there's a lot there. I would encourage you to listen and re-listen to this particular podcast and all the other
Hmm.
podcasts. Shameless plug. So check us out at Community Minister Network. And we are on all the social media platforms, so Instagram, Facebook, X, wherever you get your social media fix, then you can check us out there. Also, please leave something in the comments. Let us know what impacted you. Let us know what you would like, what kind of content you would like going forward. We are so excited to bring that content to you. So, until next time, on behalf of my good friend, my sister from another Mr. Becky King, on behalf of Mr. John Heflick, and the whole Community Minister Network, I want to remind you, stay salty, y'all.